Hello, it's Willie from the Ozarks, and we're ready for our July 1st lesson, which is lesson 182 in A Course in Miracles workbook for students. I will be still a moment and go home. I will be still a moment and go home. How did you do yesterday? Did you trust your brothers who are one with you? I wanted to encourage you on one thing about yesterday, briefly. In the 5th paragraph, it says, "We enter in the time of practicing with one intent, to look upon the sinlessness within." Did you see your sinlessness within? And you'll see it within as you see it without. Remember, there's no difference between the inner and the outer world. And what we see in our brother, we see in ourselves. So did you see innocence? Sinlessness? And look what else he says. And of course, this is what we did yesterday. So this should all be, I just want to just put this clear in our mind before we move on to our next lesson. Take this with you. Let this be part of your life. That's something that you use on a day-to-day basis. Even though we only do one lesson a day, we can take these ideas and apply them anytime they're useful or needed. We recognize that we have lost this goal to look within the sinlessness within. We recognize we have lost this goal if anger blocks our way in any form anger. You know, even to be just mildly upset with someone is a form of anger, or to just be to try to avoid them. These need not be. They're your dear brother. They're part of you. The way you accept them is the way you accept yourself, and you want to accept them the way that you want to be accepted. And if a brother's sins occur to you, okay? Did a brother's sins occur to you? I know I had opportunity yesterday to apply this very lesson. And if a brother's sin occurs to us, our narrowed focus will restrict our sight and turn our eyes upon our own mistakes, which we will magnify and call our sins. So for a little while, without regard to past or future, should such blocks arise, we will transcend them with the instruction to our minds to change their focus. As we say, "It is not this that I would look upon. It is not this that I would look upon." We're going to instruct our minds if we see ourselves gravitating towards anger towards anyone. "It is not this that I would look upon. I trust my brothers who are one with me." So let's take that with us, and let's do that on a day-to-day basis. Instruct our minds to be in harmony with God, with truth, with love. And we will also use these thoughts to keep us safe throughout the day. We do not seek for long-range goals, as each obstruction seems to block the vision of our sinlessness. We seek but for surcease, an instant from the misery the focus upon sin will bring, and uncorrected will remain. So we don't want to let that uncorrected remain in our life day after day after life after life. We don't need that. What we want to do is we want to get to the place where we notice that we have lost our joy, our peace, and that it's because we've seen sin somewhere. It's really simple, but we have to be vigilant. We have to watch, and then remind ourselves, "It is not this I would look upon. I trust my brothers who are one with me." Oh, we need to learn to trust our brothers who are one with us. Yesterday, I said that word surcease incorrectly, so I wanted to correct that too. It means to come to an end, to cease. So as each obstruction seems to block the vision of our sinlessness, we seek but for surcease, an instant from the misery the focus upon sin will bring, and uncorrected will remain. All right, so I wanted to just kind of encourage you about yesterday's lesson, and now we'll go on. I will be still a moment and go home. Hey, I'm sitting underneath a nice big walnut tree. A couple of them here in the background you can see. Dug one up earlier today, put it in a pot, going up, put it in the shade to root. Now I'll have a walnut tree to share with someone. So that's one thing I grow a lot of. And look at all the things that black walnuts are good for. Their scientific name is Juglans nigra, and they're known as the Eastern black walnut, not the English walnut. You know, the black walnuts are a different variety of walnut. They do cross. They're real similar. From the rxlist.com, they're used to treat parasitic worm infections. I know I've got lots of people that will feed them to livestock. The husk is a really strong part of, it has a lot of juglin. I'm not going to have many walnuts this year on my trees because we had a real late frost and I lost my peaches. The frost hurt the peach flowers and it must have hurt the walnuts because I'm not seeing any walnuts, and they should be loaded right now here in July. Okay, other infections that all parts of the tree has the constituents, but the leaves have them, but the husk has the most highly concentrated form of the active ingredient that people use it for, evidently. Other infections that it's been used to treat is diphtheria and syphilis. It's also used for leukemia. People use it for a mouthwash and a gargle. It's good for wounds, skin wounds. People use it for hair dye. Of course, the lumber is well sought after. Matter of fact, a lot of it's being cut out in the Missouri because of it's so valuable and being shipped over to make veneer in overseas, China particularly. We need to be planting a lot of it because not our ancestors, but those who come after us, our children's children, will want this tree. So I make it a point when I see one that I'm getting ready to mow an area, I do try to put them in pots and have them ready to share. When you plant a walnut, and be sure to, it puts out a chemical that's not inviting for a lot of plants. Fescue grass doesn't seem to be bothered by it. It's called juglone, and it suppresses a lot of other plants. So at some places that's ideal, but in other plants, you know, like for instance, you don't want to plant it right next to an apple tree or your vegetable garden. If you're going to plant it close to one of those, be sure to put something like a tree that's not affected by it between it and your garden, or the apple tree, for instance. A mulberry is an example of that. A mulberry is not affected by the toxin that the walnut tree puts out, and so you could put a mulberry tree right beside a walnut, and then on the other side of the mulberry plant your apple or your garden. So keep that in mind. All right, so let's go on now to our lesson. I will be still a moment and go home. This world you seem to live in is not your home. This world you seem to live in is not home to you. And somewhere in your mind you know that this is true. A memory of home keeps haunting you, as if there were a place that called you to return, although you do not recognize the voice, nor what it is the voice reminds you of. Yet still you feel an alien here, from somewhere all unknown. Nothing so definite that you could say with certainty you are in exile here. Just a persistent feeling, sometimes not more than a tiny throb, at other times hardly remembered, actively dismissed, but surely to return to mind again. 2. No one but knows whereof we speak, yet some try to put by their suffering in games they play to occupy their time and keep their sadness from them. Others will deny that they are sad and do not recognize their tears at all. Still others will maintain that what we speak of is illusion, not to be considered more than but a dream. Yet who in simple honesty, without defensiveness and self-deception, would deny he understands the words we speak. Number 3, we speak today for everyone who walks this world. Wow. So this is not our home. Remember, Jesus even said that the birds of the air have their nests and the foxes have their dens, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. He said it 2,000 years ago. This isn't our home. Well, he's now explained it a little better for us to understand now. We speak today for everyone who walks this world, for he is not at home. He goes uncertainly about in endless search, seeking in darkness what he cannot find, not recognizing what it is he seeks. 1,000 homes he makes, yet none contents his restless mind. He does not understand, he builds in vain. The home he seeks cannot be made by him. There is no substitute for heaven. All he ever made was hell. Coming from me as a home builder, that's quite a statement. I mean, that's what I do in this world. I build homes, you know. 1,000 homes he makes, yet none contents his restless mind. He does not understand, he builds in vain. The home he seeks cannot be made by him. All right? Number 4, perhaps you think it is your childhood home that you would find again. The childhood of your body and its place of shelter are a memory, now so distorted that you merely hold a picture of a past that never happened. Yet there is a child in you who seeks his father's house and knows that he is alien here. This childhood is eternal, with an innocence that will endure forever. Where this child shall go is holy ground. Where this child shall go is holy ground. It is his holiness that lights up heaven, and that brings to earth the pure reflection of the light above, wherein are earth and heaven joined as one. Suffer not the little children to come unto me, for such is the kingdom of heaven. Well, there's a little child in us. Let's look at that again. There is a child in you who seeks his father's house and knows that he is alien here. Let's find that little child, okay? This childhood is eternal, with an innocence that will endure forever. Where this child shall go is holy ground. It is his holiness that lights up heaven and that brings to earth the pure reflection of the light above, wherein the earth and heaven are joined as one. Number 5. It is this child in you your father knows as his own son. It is this child who knows his father. He desires to go home so deeply, so unceasingly, his voice cries unto you to let him rest a while. He does not ask for more than just a few instants of respite, just an interval in which he can return to breathe again the holy air that fills his Father's house. You are his home as well. He will return, but give him just a little time to be himself within the peace that is his home, resting in silence and in peace and love. I will be still a moment and go home. Let's let that little child breathe the fresh air of heaven. Let it be at home just for a moment. We'll bring that holy instant back to bless the world with our shining face. How important it is that we take our 5 to 30 minutes every morning and every evening and have our hourly remembrance to breathe in the fresh air of heaven. So be sure to do that. Have that moment. I will be still a moment and go home. This child needs your protection in paragraph 6. This child needs your protection. He is far from home. He is so little that he seems so easily shut out. His tiny voice so readily obscured. His calls for help almost unheard. Amid the grating sounds and harsh and rasping noises of the world. Yet does he know that in you still abides his sure protection. You will fail him not. He will go home, and you along with him. What's the sure protection we can offer this little child? A moment of quiet, just to cease from our busy building houses, our busyness making dinners, our busyness doing all the things that we have to do to live in this world that's not our home. Just be still a moment and go home. Number 7, this child is your defenselessness, your strength. What? This child is your defenselessness, your strength. My defenselessness is my strength. Keep that in mind. That's the child in you. The child of God, the true self, the picture of innocence. This child is your defenselessness, your strength. He trusts in you. He came because he knew you would not fail. He whispers of his home unceasingly to you, for he would bring you back with him, that he himself might stay and not return again where he does not belong and where he lives an outcast in a world of alien thoughts. His patience has no limits. Unlimited patience, this little child has. He will wait until you hear his gentle voice within you, calling you to let him go in peace along with you to where he is at home, and you with him. Isn't that beautiful? 8. When you are still an instant, when the world recedes from you, when valueless ideas cease to have value in your restless mind, then will you hear his voice. So poignantly, he calls to you that you will not resist him longer. In that instant, he will take you to his home, and you will stay with him in perfect stillness, silent and at peace, beyond all words, untouched by fear and doubt, sublimely certain that you are at home. I will be still a moment and go home. 9. Rest with him frequently today. Rest with him frequently today. Not just in the morning and the evening, but throughout the day in those hourly remembrances, or more if you want, but at least once an hour. Rest with him frequently today. For he was willing to become a little child that you might learn of him how strong is he who comes without defenses, offering only love's messages to those who think he is their enemy. Wow, in defenselessness, we're strong. And we're going to offer love's messages in our defenselessness, even to those who think he is their enemy. He holds the might of heaven in his hand and calls them friend, and gives his strength to them that they may see he would be friend to them. He asks but that they protect him, for his home is far away, and he will not return to it alone. He asks but that they protect him, for his home is far away, and he will not return to it alone. 10. Christ is reborn as but a little child, each time a wanderer would leave his home. For he must learn that what he would protect is but this child, who comes defenseless, and who is protected by defenselessness. Go home with him from time to time today. You are as much an alien here as he. 11. Take time today to lay aside your shield, which profits nothing, and lay down the spear and sword you raised against an enemy without existence. Christ has called you friend and brother. He has even come to you to ask your help in letting him go home completed and completely. He has come as does a little child who must beseech his father for protection and for love. He rules the universe, and yet he asks unceasingly that you return with him and take illusions as your gods no more. And the last paragraph, 12. You have not lost your innocence. It is for this you learn. This is your heart's desire. This is the voice you hear, and this the call which cannot be denied. The Holy Child remains with you. His home is yours. Today he gives you his defenselessness, and you accept it in exchange for all the toys of battle you have made. Accept the defenselessness that the Christ child that lives within you wants to offer your mind instead of all the toys of battle that we have made. And now the way is open and the journey has an end in sight at last. Be still a moment and go home with him and be at peace a while. Be still a moment and go home with him and be at peace a while.